how can you relax into presence when you cannot know when you have relaxed into presence? Well, that's certainly a great question, because that sounds like you're totally confused. Well, that's very fitting with the title. So how can you relax into presence when you cannot know you have relaxed into presence? So don't take what teachers say too seriously. Try and use everything that a teacher says or a speaker says to, and take it and see what relates true to you. So when teachers used to speak about presence or non-duality or this moment, whatever teachers I went to, it was just known there was this aliveness, this childlike joy. So if you say like, I am now, so please understand when I speak that other speakers speak differently. So some people say the I am is a personal sense of I am, but I'm actually using the I am as more as an impersonal. I don't mean I am Chris, I am this. I mean that alive presence. And I also mean that conscious looking. I put them together, the conscious looking and the I am together. And the reason that I do that is because to me, this isn't a separate reality. This isn't divided. And I used to think that the I am was inside the body, that alive presence was inside the body. What I associate as the I am, not the I am character, not the personal of the I am. Maybe some people just call it the I. That I am is actually everywhere, and it's love, the I am. And then there's also this empty looking, which is also everywhere, this consciousness. And that is your essence, that's who you truly are. And that doesn't contain thought, that doesn't contain a feeling. If it contains any feeling on the human level, it's love. And I know that in non-duality there is arguments about that as to whether the conscious presence has a quality. And if it does have a quality, I would go with love. But you could also say that is a non-quality as well, because it's not a thing. And you don't need to get too complicated about it, Chris. Like why is your mind thinking up such a complicated question? Like, just decide to yourself what presence is. So presence is the feeling of the table, the feeling of the table on your hands, the walking along. I just knew what they meant when they said it. It was like my body, well, not my body, but something came alive when it was spoken about. So just use that and see that when your mind is doing that, your mind is trying to stay in thinking and in this conceptual reality, and that's not where presence is. Pardon me again. I don't know, I'm not English, what can I say? I'm from a society where that's acceptable. Do you know, I once, a PR manager contacted me. I think it's a PR manager who wanted to organise an American tour for me and wanted to grow me as a speaker. And at first I didn't really understand that's what he wanted, but we spoke on the phone, and he started giving me tips about when I do my live streams. I'm not allowed to drink anything. This looks unprofessional. And this gives the people that are listening too much of a relaxed feeling, too much like we're on the same level. So I shouldn't drink a cup of tea. Obviously the burping and the gas is a no-go. The singing to Khaleesi and the Khaleesi is a no-go. The background is super important. The way I dress, the colours in which I dress in. All of this is important for growing a spiritual speaker, because the spiritual speaker wears certain clothes. And they don't drink or poop or burp or have gas in any way. They don't get interrupted by the doorbell. They don't have a dog. They just live in this perpetual state of nothing happening and bliss and never do human things. So he gave me a list of things that I shouldn't do, and then after the conversation I knew that wasn't something I was gonna do. Not that I'm against PR, because it's just the psychology of the way humans work, but it just didn't feel right. But so Chris, sorry, back to your question. So what I always recommend you do on the human level, knowing that that person is being experienced and that person isn't ultimately the doer, but that person feels on the human level like it can do things. Ultimately it can't, but I can say to you, put your hand in the hair, put the hand in the hair, and it can do that, or touch your nose, and it can do these things, and it feels like you're doing them. But the question is where do those impulses come from, and who is doing them? And then it's seen that there is this human which has the feeling of free will and choice, but beyond that it's all coming from no place, no time, this innocent, spontaneous expression. And to live a more free human life is to know those two places in conjuncture. So Chris, what you do is you go down to the feeling. When your mind is producing those sorts of thoughts and creating confusion, you go, okay, I'm feeling confused. I don't know what she's talking about, and I don't know what presence is. So you acknowledge, where is the feeling in my body? Where do I feel that in my body? Where do I feel the emotion of confusion? And you say, in my heart area. So in my heart, it hurts. In my heart, I feel like I've done something wrong, that I'm not going to get it right, and that I'm always going to be lost, say. You just acknowledge that. And even if you're like, oh, I can't even do that, that's too confusing, just acknowledge that wherever you are. Okay, I feel a feeling of confusion, or I can't find confusion, so I feel tense. So you just acknowledge that there's tension. So you just acknowledge that feeling, and acknowledge that your mind is trying to fix that feeling. It's trying to get to balance. So what your mind is trying to do is it's trying to get me to be more accurate, so you can stop feeling that sense of confusion. Just notice that. And to notice that that's your particular conditioning, that you're set up that way, that you can easily become confused. I'm projecting, maybe you don't, maybe it's just this subject, but that when you become confused, your mind wants to get the answer in the outside, to not feel confused anymore. And that's okay, but just notice those feelings and those sensations, and see that that is the vessel which is being looked through. So your body is set up that way, and in that moment, conscious presence is looking through that. Live presence is looking through that. And the actual freedom, what you're truly looking for, is that alive presence, which is right here, right now. But because you feel that discomfort in your body, your mind is trying to get you to find the answer in the future. That's okay for regular everyday stuff, but just notice in non-duality, and ultimately, you're never going to get to freedom in the future. Freedom is right here.